All right, welcome in. It is Tuesday. Time for Total Bases. Tokyo Brandon not feeling well this morning, so we hope he feels better. I thought he was going to feel great. I'm pretty sure his 5%er won last night, but he doesn't feel well today. So hopefully we have him back tomorrow. But you've got myself and you've got Bryan Leonard on a strong internet connection today, so we're here for the next hour. And Bryan, I have a question for Nate the Great on Twitter. So I want to get right into it. He says, give me the lowdown on Cam Schlittler. And I guess we can do that by talking Yankees Blue Jays, which that's good enough for a feature game. That's a pretty big series in the AL East. So I'll go to you first. Yanks Blue Jays. What do you see in here?
Yeah, I'm not going to say his name very often because I know I'm going to screw it up and say something I probably shouldn't. But Cam almost did it there. Schlitter is one of those guys that has always had good stuff, but he's never performed quite as well as they expected. He's 24 years old, and he's a number 10 prospect for the Yankees system. The Yankees system doesn't seem to have many good pitching prospects. The ones that they have brought up have been middling. They are going to get one of their guys back that had surgery. He should be coming back pretty soon. He's I can't think of his name, but Heel will be back. So they are starting to get some guys back, but they had another injury, and so their starting staff right now is struggling. Schlitter comes in with 5.06 ERA, 2.84 expected, 1.13 WHIP. His numbers are he's only thrown 5 1/3 innings, so his numbers are not really solidified yet, but his strikeout rate is great, fastball velocity is great. But he's a guy that's a fly ball pitcher, and that's always a concern. He's going up against Max Scherzer here. Scherzer comes in with a 4.70 ERA, 4.41 expected ERA. Both of those are very high for him. He's at the end of his career here. The last few years, he's in 2022, he had a 2.29 ERA, went up to 3.77, 3.95, and now 4.70. It would not surprise me if this is his last year in the majors, but he's a bulldog. He wants to play. Look how long Verlander's gone, and he's really hit a wall this year. So maybe he'll be back. Somebody's going to take a chance on him. There's a lot of teams out there that really need pitching. But this Toronto team's playing very well. The Yankees struggling right now. In fact, I looked at the WRC Plus on the season or on the last 30 days. Now, the Yankees are ranked 7th, and Toronto's ranked 5th. So we got two teams that are hitting pretty well against two pitchers that I have a little bit of concern with here. The total in this game is 9, and Toronto's about a 125 favorite, something in that range. Don't want to go against the Blue Jays since they're playing so well, but maybe we can get one of the team totals to go over, something to take a look at that way. But as of right now, it doesn't look like a game I'm going to be involved in.
Well, Bryan, yesterday on the show, I had two totals, and I said, I'm not a big totals handicapper, but I love both of these, and one of them will get there. And I was right about that. The Giants and the Braves went over. But the other one I had that I was very confident in was Yankees Blue Jays, and the runs just never came. Ended up being a 4-1 final. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some runs in this game tonight. Now, I will talk about Schlittler. Man, this name shouldn't be this hard to pronounce. But anyway, I'll talk about him. So first off, I have a soft spot for these guys from the Northeast. Like my fiance's family's been housing summer league college ball kids for years. So every summer throughout, either we didn't have people at our house this year, but they've got 3 college kids in their house this year. And last year we had 5 or 6 across all the family members and stuff like that. And the reason I bring it up is a lot of them are, there's some D1 guys, mostly D2 and D3, but they're always from a college like Northeastern, or, a Northeastern college a lot of times. And so Cam Schlittler, again, probably said it wrong, Northeastern graduate, pitches his way up, always have a soft spot for guys like this. That being said, out of nowhere this year, yeah, as you said, he was not on my radar to be in the big leagues this year. I kind of saw him starting to do some stuff at AA, and I said, okay, he's going to be interesting when he gets up to AAA. And he got to AAA, and he was as good as you could possibly be through 5 starts. Now, I find it very challenging to handicap guys the pitchers that don't spend a considerable amount of time at AAA. Like, I think I have a great beat on a guy like yesterday we talked about Mike McGreevy. I felt like I had him pegged because I've seen so much of him last year to this year at AAA. But then, like, there's another guy we'll probably talk about in a little bit, Chase Burns, where they just don't, they come up 2-3 starts at AAA, and now they're in the big leagues. I find that extremely challenging because I don't think there's a huge difference AA to AAA for hitters. Like, you see, like, we knew Caglione should have been in the majors. Nick Kurtz, like, they didn't need a ton of time at AAA where you were like, you know what, you're probably a big leaguer. But pitchers, it's a little bit different because you go from facing the guys you faced all the way up to facing like legitimate professional hitters that have been around the game for 10, 15 years. So I have a really tough time with guys like this because I want to like the Yankees here. I see the upside. I've seen, Schlittler throw the ball extremely well now from AAA and into this would be his second start at the big league level. First one came against the Mariners, 5 1/3, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts. That was great. But the problem is you just don't know. Let's go back to Chase Burns, right? Even Mizorowski, who had a considerable amount of time, more AAA time than the others, second, third start got into trouble. So I really do think there's value with the Yankees at plus money. And I'm tempted, man. But like to go against the Blue Jays and then have him not have his best start, it is like concerning to me. It's probably why I'll pass this one, but he is impressed the hell out of me. And his start against the Mariners was very impressive. I wouldn't want to really go against him here. So I think Yankees or over or pass is where I'll leave this one. All right. It's $5 Tuesday. I almost slipped, and people will be disappointed that doesn't occur anymore. But listen, it's $5 Tuesday at Wager Talk. Everyone is going to have a $5 play up. I guarantee you, even with Tokyo Brandon feeling under the weather, he'll have that play posted, so you don't have to worry about that. He is not going to miss a chance to get a $5 play out there. So head on over to the site, check that out. As always, like and subscribe. And this is the part of the show where I vent and complain about what happened yesterday. For me, that was the A's. And Frank Simmons says A's team total under. My nightmare played out yesterday, Brian, because I come on the show and I talk about the A's and the Marlins being like teams, like all or nothing type teams, where it's like when they're sort of rolling and they're playing well, they're doing everything right. And they're just like, everything's, coming up for them and they're really rolling. And then there's the flip side of being a very young team where things are just not very good. And I was unfortunately on both of them yesterday and caught the young Marlins and the young A's. The young Marlins couldn't get a hit off of Randy Vasquez, something that should be studied at the end of this season. And then the A's, just not a very good effort. So let's go back. A's Rangers. A's a much bigger underdog today. Frank says team total under. I don't know. What do you think about this one? A's Rangers.
Well, I had 4 1.5% yesterday. Since my internet went out, I couldn't write up any of my analysis because I couldn't get on there and get the stats. So I said, I just put out some small plays. And one of them was the A's over 1.5. I believe it was over 1.5 in the first 5. And they got one, didn't get there for me. They did struggle a little bit. So, yeah, that's just the way it is with young teams. You see that all the time. Look at the White Sox yesterday. I mean, they had a great game. And the White Sox actually over the last month are hitting about league average when you take a look at the stats. But
who would have guessed that?
Yeah. So we originally said Miami. We like that Miami team. Miami in the last month is, I think, 12th in WRC plus. So they're hitting well. They just didn't hit well yesterday. And that was the one that I used on my parlay on the show. Did not think they were going to be shut out. I believe when you take a look at the hits, they were the better team. It's just the opposite. The other team had the bigger hits than they did. And That's what happens. The San Diego pitcher really, I believe he had 8 base runners in 4.2 innings. So he didn't pitch well. It's just the spacing and the luck factor cost him that. But that's just the way it is in baseball. I mean, you watched that Cleveland game yesterday, and they've got the Baltimore pitchers on the ropes all game long. Finally, it broke through late. The Baltimore pitchers were base loaded, nobody out, and they were getting out of it. So it happens. That's the way it is. You've got to time it up right. JT again going today for the A's. He's recently come back to the majors after some injury problems. 4.91 ERA, 3.64 expected, 1.30 WHIP. Very good strike pitcher. Strikeout percent, 86%. Ground ball rate, 85th percent. Doesn't give up a lot of fly balls. He's okay, but his hard hit rate is only in the 4th percentile. So when he is getting hit, he's getting hit pretty hard. Jacob deGrom going for Texas. I don't know if anybody out there's heard of him, but he's pretty good. Yeah. Texas Rangers, after winning 2 total games the last 2 years, he's already got 9 wins this year. He's 9-2, 2.32 ERA, 2.99 expected, 0.91 WHIP. He's good at everything. His ground ball percentage is actually only in the 54th percentile, so he does get up for some fly balls. But this stadium is probably, usually it's the Met Stadium is the best pitcher-friendly park in baseball. This one in Texas has been this year. A lot of it has to do with Texas's pitchers, but if you take a look at what the other teams have done here too, they have performed very well, which is why a lot of people think that the Texas offense has not done well. When you're playing half your games, it's sort of like Seattle at home. It's not a good hitter's ballpark, so the home team also struggles in that regard. Total line in this game right now is DeGrom's about a 235. You can get it down to 219 right now, but about 235 favorite with a total of 7.5. If I had more faith in the A's bullpen, I would play this under. I do like in a little bit, but I am concerned from him. It would be only Texas for me, and I'm not going to lay that number. So maybe A's team total under, something like that. But it's a tough handicap when you've got a really good pitcher's park and you've got a guy like DeGrom who's going to go, he may go 7 innings, and that really cuts down on the A's chance to score in this one.
Yeah, David Witt says, everyone had me so convinced on the A's yesterday. David, I got to be honest that it shouldn't matter, but it just seems like every time you get a good price on a dog and then the market rides it to a point they're a favorite, and then it feels like it's kind of trendy. It happens. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why that's the case, but I kind of, when that first pitch was being thrown, I'm like, is everyone really on the A's here? I thought I was going to be had a nice number, was being a little crafty. Hey, this is a good spot to get the A's as a dog when they really should be a favorite. And I kind of agree with David. I was like, man, when did this become a trendy pick? And that's what happened. And again, it is what it is. I feel like all that's anecdotal, but I resonate with that comment a little bit. As far as this game is concerned, man, I am so tempted to just come back and take A's plus 1.5 here. I'm going to talk out why I either might do that or might not. So first, the Rangers totally shook their roster up yesterday. They basically said, so last week at AAA, they had all of a sudden all these guys popped up. Josh Jung, Roddy Tellez. They moved some stuff around. Round Rock played great last week. They actually swept your Aviators, Bryan, which is a feat at this point. It's a very good minor league team. 3-game sweep out of the break. And the Round Rock called Cody Freeman up, who got his first big league hit last night. He's going to be a really good player. He's had a great season at AAA. I saw Jung back in there. I saw Tellez in the lineup. And that makes me pump the brakes a little bit. Michael Hellman was back. Hellman had a big hit to bust that game open. None of these guys are any individual that's going to change a team. But I talked go out of the break, we talked about the culture in that locker room. Maybe they just needed to shake up a little bit, some different guys, some different blood in there. I love Cody Freeman. He's been awesome. And he was all fired up to get that big double to give the Rangers the lead. So that makes me not want to bet against the Rangers a little bit. Maybe they're going to find the right mix. And then, of course, you have to fade Jacob deGrom. Do you want to fade Jacob deGrom? Like, that's a tough pill to swallow right there. Now, I'm with you, JT Ginn. He's got some swing and miss. I could see him being half decent here, and you would get the run with the A's on the road. So it's like, I do think there's some line value with the A's there as an underdog. I also really like that price on +1.5, and the fact that you're getting the road team +1.5. My only concern and what may keep me off is I wonder if we're hitting the stretch where the A's become the young A's that struggle. Go back to mid-May. Team was playing great. What did they lose? 22 of 23, something crazy like that. They didn't look good against the Guardians this weekend. They had the one win, but I didn't feel like they played great ball against the Guardians, and that carried over to last night. Just Lawrence Butler not being able to get a bunt down, like just things that it's like, okay, here we go. Are we going to lose 8 of 9? So I like the A's, but I think those are things that are creeping into my thought process in terms of maybe passing on them. All right, let's do the other one. The other one I lost with yesterday was the Marlins. And we already sort of teased it. So Colin Gregory says Marlins money line. Yeah, Colin, I'm going to be tempted to come back with them as well. But again, Bryan mentioned it. Randy Vasquez, Houdini act number 17 of the season. 8 guys on base, giving up absolute missiles at times. And they either go right at guys. And then the one he really gives up that ends up in another planet to Kyle Stowers, no one on base. So he survives 4 1/3, gives up 1 run, gives up like 7 hits and a bunch of hard contact, and somehow only gives up 1 run. And then sure enough, the Marlins find a way to lose 2-1. Today, it's another guy that I am very okay with opposing for the Padres. Steven Kolek, AAA guy to me for the most part. And Edward Cabrera, a guy with upside, very similar to Yuri Perez. So, Bryan, it's the same game as yesterday, and we're getting a better price on the Marlins today. How do we not play the Marlins here?
Well, I don't have Cabrera in the same level as yesterday's pitcher. Talent-wise, yeah, but he hasn't been able to put it together because he's walked so many people. And my main concern here was his last start ended early. They thought he was hurt, and then all of a sudden everybody's, he's been on the trade block, and they've said that they were looking to trade him, and they could get a pretty good for a good program that develops pitchers like a Milwaukee, a Cleveland, a Pittsburgh, that kind of thing. They could get pretty good players back for him. But he did leave the start early, and they were worried that he was hurt, but he's coming back. Makes me wonder with the trade deadline coming up if normally they wouldn't have brought him back this early, but they need to get him out there and show that he's healthy so they can get a good deal for him. That is my concern. Right now, Miami's about a 110, 112 favorite. Total on this is 8. Kolek, as you mentioned, 4.24 ERA, 4.44 expected, 1.29 whip. In 2 seasons, he got a 6-4 record, which is nice, but a 4.63 ERA, which tells you that they just seem to hit for him when he pitches. Hard hit rate in the 5th percentile, exit velocity, 5th percentile, whiff rate 8th or 9th, and strikeout rate 16th. So those aren't things you really want to play on. His barrel rate is in the 80th percentile, but yet he's still getting hit hard. Once that barrel rate comes back and normalizes a little bit, I could see him getting bombed. He is a good ground ball pitcher, 82nd percentile in ground ball rate, so he's probably not going to get beat by the long ball, but out of doubles, something like that is a concern when you've got Kolek on the mound. Cabrera for Miami, now in his 5th season. He's 3-4 on the season, 3.64 ERA, 3.87 expected. His whip is 126. His career whip is 133, so he's a little bit better in that regard. Hard hit rate only in the 16th percentile, average exit velocity 32nd. But he's a big fastball pitcher, 85th percentile. I like what he's done this year if he is fully healthy. If he is healthy, I think there's value on it. If you take a look at the WRC Plus over the last month, I talked about Miami. They're 12th in baseball with 104. San Diego is 22nd at 92. So you've got, over the last month, you've got the better pitcher, you've got the better hitters, and you're getting in it basically a pickup situation. Lean Miami. This is probably one of those games. I talk about playing games live. If I could see him in the early part of this game and he looks like he's sharp, maybe I'll come in on Miami and play that the rest of the way out. If he looks like he's struggling and he's still maybe hurt a little bit, I can go the other way. This is one I'd rather not play pregame, but I'd rather play in-game.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm watching the game last night, and right about the fourth, fifth inning, when I'm realizing, okay, that Vasquez might actually get through 4 or 5 and leave his team with the lead. I'm like, am I betting against an elite Padres team? Because remember, going into the season, early into the season, like myself included, a lot of people thought that this was like a legitimate World Series contender, might win the NL West, and you know they struggled a little bit, and I feel like we've all gotten away from that. Maybe even the odds makers have gotten away from that a little bit as well. But like, to me, I'm like just your typical pessimist, right? Like I always assume the worst is going to happen. As soon as Morjan got out of came in and got out of the inning and whatnot, I'm like, oh, they're not giving up a run. Like, it's just going to be Morjan, Estrada, Suarez, and they're just going to come in and hammer it down. And that's exactly what they did. And so I look at this and I'm like, how do I want to fade what really is, like, I still think maybe an elite Padres team, because that's what I'd be doing here. Now, Cabrera's a guy, he always gets me. He's someone I've probably been unnecessarily high on for the past few years. Has a great fastball, but doesn't always command it particularly well. And if he had fastball command, he'd be really good because he's got the other stuff to play off of it. Are the Padres are they able to sort of get something off of that? And then if the Marlins, are they in the mode where they're just not capitalizing? Because I can guarantee you, Kolek will give them chances. But if the Marlins can't cash in, then you're talking, okay, who do you want at the end of this game? Padres bullpen or the Marlins bullpen? And the Marlins bullpen's been solid, but still, you're hot. The Marlins have a great collection of relievers. The Padres have high leverage arms that every other team in the league would want to have. If you could go pull the other 29 teams in the league, if you would offer them the 3 or 4 guys at the front of the Padres bullpen, basically every team in the league would take that group of pitchers. So that's where I look at this. It's super tempting to come back with the Marlins. It's, I almost feel like I am somewhat inclined to do it based on the fact that I played them yesterday. But that is the concern for me is am I poking the bear with this Padres team? Where are you out in the Padres right now on the whole, Brian Leonard? You seeing them similar?
Yeah, very much so. I will say the Padres bullpen came into yesterday very rested. Their best 4 guys all pitched. Nobody more than 19 pitches, so they should be available. And Miami's bullpen is fully available here. So, we'll see how it goes. And but it should be an interesting game. And obviously the line being near Pick'em says that.
I don't hate the idea of running your play back from yesterday and going Marlins first 5. I actually think that might be the way to play it, because I do still think Cabrera is a pretty decent edge over Kolek.
And you're getting that at 120 right now, if that's what you are interested in.
Yeah, that could be the play. All right, Justin, we got to bring it up. The Brewers are the hottest team in baseball since Tokyo Brandon talked. Yeah, basically, Tokyo Brandon dug their grave on this show, put the Brewers in their grave, and they've been basically like prime Undertaker ever since. Just winning hell in the cell matches doesn't matter. They've won every game. They've literally, how many is this in a row, Brian? 10?
10 or 11.
Just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
The Brewers are, it has been fun to watch. I got to be honest, I did not think there was any way that the Brewers could continue this out of the break. Normally, when you go into the All-Star break hotter than the sun, go ask the Red Sox about this. Yeah. It's very difficult to come out of the break and sort of maintain that run. It's not to say you're going to play terribly, but it's hard to like maintain that streak out of the break. The Brewers have not only done it, they're doing it on the road against really good competition. That is like the craziest thing to me. They're doing it on the road in LA, in Seattle, and now they bring it into tonight where they're up against Logan Gilbert, but they've got a stud pitcher of their own on the mound. So, I mean, listen, I said I would find a spot to fade the Brewers in this series, but I don't know. I'm starting to question if I want to do that or not. How are you going to play Mariners Brewers?
Yeah, I agree. The teams that they're beating and the pitchers that they're beating has been more impressive than the win streak, if you ask me. But that's why I like the Brewers. They find a way. It's not like the Yankees where you hit 3 home runs in a game, the Yankees win. Yankees don't hit home runs, the Yankees lose. The Brewers can beat you in any way. They're not big. Take a look at the home runs on the season. They're not one of the better teams in home runs. Once in a while, they got some guys that have that ability, but they're guys that get on base and they are threats to run. Just about everybody on this team has the ability to steal bases, and I love that. That's the way the St. Louis Cardinals and the Royals did, decades ago. That's what a lot of teams do nowadays. Tampa Bay, one of the teams we really like, does that. Those are the teams that got to be able to compete. If you are in Milwaukee and Seattle, you cannot compete money-wise with the teams in New York and the teams in California and that kind of thing, Chicago. So that's how you have to build your team. And hats off to the Brewers. They've done it better than anybody this year, and I'm really rooting for them. Nothing against Tokyo Brandon, but I did not agree with his statement. I think he did it just to get a rile out of everybody. But still, you put that on the record, and somebody's going to come back and make fun of you. And that's what we've done with Brandon every time he does that. So it's something we can all joke about. But hey, it's working for to fade it. But Mizrowski against Gilbert here. Gilbert's about a 120 favorite. Total is 7 to the under 25. So they don't expect many runs in this game. Yesterday, I was looking at that game as we were going along, and the game was, I believe, scoreless in the 6th. The team total, or the total in the game, depending on your sports book at that time, there was 3 innings left, was either 2.5 or 3. And I seriously thought about playing the over, because if you got a total of 2.5 or 3, it could be scoreless going into the 10th inning. And based on the ghost runner, you could easily get 2.5, 3 runs. I didn't do it. And of course, the next inning they come out and started hitting for Milwaukee. But it's something that I noticed yesterday. Mizrowski 4-1, 2.81 ERA, 2.61 expected, 0.90 whip. Once again, he's only thrown 25 innings, so got to take everything with a grain of salt. But 99th percentile in extension, 99th percentile in fastball velocity. The guy is 6'7". He's got one of the best extensions in Major League Baseball, and he throws 103 miles an hour. Unless he's tipping his pitches, which may have been the occurrence in the game that he did not pitch well, he's been awfully impressive. Seattle Logan Gilbert coming back from injury. He's got a career in 5 seasons, 3.59 ERA. He's just a terrific young pitcher. 1.06 whip. This year, he's even slightly better than that. His expected ERA is 3.02, but he is getting hit a little bit. His average exit velocity is in the 20th percentile, barrel rate 21st, hard hit 37. Now, most of that came earlier when he was fighting his way back, so I expect more of the same here from the good Logan Gilbert. He's also in the 99th extension, 97th in strike percentage. He's 6'6", throwing it that way. So you've got 2 guys on the mound. The ball gets on you really fast, and you've got the situation where the line right now is 7 to the under, but I'm seeing DraftKings and FanDuel have it at 6.5 now, a little bit to the over. But if you like the under in this game, I would recommend you play it right now and get that key number of 7 in what could very well be 3-2 game going into the late innings, and you want to make sure that you've got that odd number up there. You'd hate to have a 3-3 up with a total of 6.5, and that's an automatic loser. I like the under in this one.
So Slick Vic in the chat says, why fade? And I think it was an answer to his previous message where he said Brewers. And if that's the case, I agree. Why do it right now? Like, why play against Mizorowski? It almost feels Brian, it feels a lot like why play against Skeens early in his career. Like, I don't think that's that big of a stretch to make that comparison. I know Paul Skeens, we when he was coming up, it's like everyone knew who he was before he even got to the majors, generational talent. But like, is Mizorowski that far off? I mean, the guy throws 103. Like, he's throwing 103 out there. It's been really impressive to watch him pitch, really, aside from like one start. So it's like, that's kind of where I'm at here. Even though I do think this run will end at some point for the Brewers, and I do think the Mariners are a very good team and one that I've been looking to back, I'm almost coming into this game saying, why do it? Why not? Why not just go bet one of the other 14 games? Because even if you do have it, can find an edge. Okay, Logan Gilbert, you're obviously basing your edge on Logan Gilbert by looking at his entire career and what he's been. And you could even look back to the start before the All-Star break and say, yeah, that looked like full strength Logan Gilbert against Detroit. 5 1/3 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts. But the reality is he was hurt. And since he's come off the IL, he's gotten, he's given up some contact. He's given up some hits. So the other thing you have to ask yourself is like, are the Mariners just going to take Mizorowski deep like 2, 3, 4 times? Probably not. I don't think they're just going to be like hitting him out of the ballpark. That's a big part of the Mariners offense. So do you trust this Mariners team to string hits together against Mizorowski? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know if I do. So that's where it's like, I see merit in both sides. I think I would probably say under 7 or pass. I trust the two pitchers, and I just don't know if I trust the opposing offense enough to like light up the other pitcher where I would say, oh, like the over's going to get there. Feels like a 3-2, 4-3 type game to me. 4-2, 3-1, something like that. So I think I'd rather go under if I had to play that one for sure. All right. Going to the chat, we have this is a good this is a good question from Ethan. We'll answer this. This is just a good betting question. He says, I really struggle betting MLB out of the break. Anyone have anything they look for? Any angles or strategies that consistently work for them? I'll just really quickly say I approach it similar to I approach the start of the season. I almost look at it as a reset, and we've kind of like got to get going again and have to establish some form and stuff like that. I'm cautious typically coming out of the break, similar as I would be going into the season. What about you, Brian?
I think it's very similar. You're a college basketball expert in addition to Major League Baseball. In college basketball, you have your preseason games, which are basically your non-conference games. Let's go non-conference games.
Yep.
The coaches are trying to get everything together because they're worried about conference play. Once you get into conference play, boom, teams turn on the switch. Totally different. You have to throw away a little bit of what you got earlier. And then once you get to the conference tournament and the big dance and whatever tournament you're in, you have to make the adjustments. That's the way it is in Major League Baseball. A lot of times a team will have started the season poorly. Like, for example, the Baltimore Orioles. This is still not a team I'm looking to back. Their defense is horrendous. If you watch that game yesterday, oh my God, just a terrible. Anytime there was a decision to be made, they threw to the wrong base. They would overrun the ball. Just bad coaching, bad team right now in Baltimore. I don't expect the Baltimore team, who started the year with a lot of expectations and struggled, to turn it around in the second half. But there's other teams that could do that. Other teams that entered the break and have not played well, that have the talent, can do it. Especially now that, other than the American League Central, where you got Detroit with a 10-game lead or 11-game lead or whatever, any other team could be back into the into contention within a week or two. We've seen it about Toronto. Toronto overtakes the Yankees, and the Yankees you're falling behind right here. So yes, there's ways to play it, but you got to take it every team individual, as opposed to just blindly playing it. I talked about the Braves earlier, going into the break, when they were struggling with all the injuries they've had, with all the guys in the starting rotation that were injured. This was a team coming into the season they thought they were coming back. This last year, Acuna's out. They're going to be back this year. And they've had some ups and downs. It still makes a team that has a ton of talent, but it's something that you have to take a look at each and every team on an individual basis.
How willing are you to throw out the first weekend back? Say, all right, like a team like the Cardinals per se, just very lethargic, never, are you willing to basically give a team a pass on the first weekend back, or are you looking at the first weekend and saying maybe this is what we're going to get out of the team for the next week or two?
Yeah, the Cardinals have been a team that's been very streaky all season long. Started the year poorly, started talking about selling, then all of a sudden they start playing well. I think by this time we know exactly what the Cardinals are. They're probably a 500 ball club. I think I would expect that the rest of the way out. I don't think that's a team that is going to differ very much from what they've played so far.
It's a great question, Ethan. That's we could probably sit here and sort of, talk about that for an hour. That's a really good question. There's probably no great answer, but different perspectives are always going to help, when you're talking about how to approach the slate. So great question. Andy Lang in the chat. Happy Tuesday, fellas. Great show as always. We appreciate you, Andy. Andy does a great show every single day, noon Eastern, on this same platform, the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Wager Talk Today. So head on over there. Make sure you're watching that. It's $5 Tuesday, so we're all going to have a $5 play up at some point in time. But yeah, with football season around the corner, Wager Talk Today should be a must watch for you if you're not watching it already. So head over there, check that out. Appreciate Andy tuning in. We have Johnny Detroit in the chat today. He says, my poor Tigers rather get the bad run out now versus later in the season. Let's talk about Johnny Detroit's Tigers. And listen, how spoiled are you guys up in Detroit right now that you're going to have a bad run at some point? I mean, the team was out of control good for 3 months. And now they're finally kind of having a run where it's like they're not playing their best ball. It was always going to happen. I got to be honest, Bryan, I'm buying the Tigers so much more than I was at the beginning of the season, especially in where they're at in the context of the American League. I only see one or two teams in the AL that I truly think is a better baseball team than the Tigers. So let's talk about that. They run into Skeens yesterday. We talked about it on the show, maybe not being the best spot for the Tigers. Do you think it's a good spot for them to bounce back today?
I am on the Tigers much more than it was before the season, but they're not playing well right now. And I talked about that the other day yesterday before I was cut off with the bad internet. But it's a team that I think was feeling pretty fat and sassy. And now they're still, over the last month, they're still 11th in WRC plus at 106, while Pittsburgh second to last at 79. But the offense just isn't what it was earlier. They were hitting over their heads. Everything, the guys, McKinstry, guys like that who are basically fill-ins, just like guys that play many positions, good players, but they weren't guys that you could put in the lineup every day and expect a lot out of. They slumped a little bit, and you could see that coming. I mean, they don't have so many great players in the lineup where you could expect that to go on all day. Casey Mize is a guy that we had said earlier in the season we were looking to fade as the year went on. His career record is 18-22 with a 4.08 ERA. Last year, 4.49 ERA. He didn't pitch for the Tigers the year before. And then in 22, when he got his start, he only pitched 2 games, 5.40. That was small sample size. So he comes in, 3.15 ERA, expected 3.29, 1.22 whip. Great extension, 86th percentile. Great walk rate, 82nd percentile. 6'3", 28 years old. He's been one of their guys they've been counting on for years. He's already 28 years old. Normally by 27, you peak, especially as a hitter. He's at 28 right now, and he still has a losing record in his career. Injuries have been a problem for him throughout his career. That is a concern. I like the guy, but until he does it more often, I'm not a huge believer. Mitch Keller having a really good season by his standards, despite having a 3-10 record. He, along with Skeens, will both be crying together based on that. But 3.48 ERA, 3.82 expected, 1.14 whip. His whip is much better now than it's been in his career. He's got a 1.37 whip, 4.43 ERA. Walk rate has been great this year, which helps his whip. 88th percentile, 5.5% walk rate every year. If you look at since 2020, granted it's a small sample size. He only threw 52 batted balls, 385 pitches, but his walk rate was over 20. The next year, over 10, over 8, over 6, over 6. Now it's over 5. He's getting better as his career goes on, and that's something you like to see. Problem is, he's not a great strikeout pitcher. 25th percentile strike rate, 10th percentile in whiff rate. Keller's on the trading block right now, and there are teams out there looking for him. I actually heard the Yankees were interested in him. Don't know if going from PNC Park to the new Yankee Stadium will be a positive for Keller, but at least when he gives up his 4 runs a game, 4 or 5 runs a game, they can outscore the opposition. So we'll see how it goes. Current line on this is Mize about 123 to 125 with a total of 8. I would like to play Pittsburgh here because the Tigers are not playing well. I just think Keller is a little bit over his skis right now, pitching better than what he's normally done. And he's got the pressure on every time out there now, so we can get the hell out of Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh, and I love the fans there. I love the favorite ballpark. But if you got a chance to pitch for a contender as opposed to pitching in Pittsburgh, he needs to have a good start. A lot of times that puts a lot of pressure on the starter.
Yeah, I of course, another vent complaint from yesterday. The other one I left off was the Pirates. I felt like it was a little bit more expensive than I wanted to pay for that team, but sure enough, Skeens did exactly what I expected him to, shut down the Tigers, and the Pirates won that game. I think Andrew was in the chat yesterday saying the under was a good bet. And that was, and we talked about it. And I think that was right where you cut off. Maybe you were even talking about the under when you got cut off yesterday. And it hit easily. He says Tigers Pirates under looks good again today. I can't really disagree with that. Pirates are as bad as it gets when it comes to, like, if you're just looking at a team's offense over the course of the season, I don't think there's been a worse offensive team than the Pirates. They made their offense worse in the short term for whatever reason. I actually love the trade of Adam Frazier for Cam Devaney. I think you got cut off before I brought this up yesterday, but the Pirates made a trade. I think they moved Frazier to the Royals and got back Cam Devaney, which is a very good trade for the Pirates. The problem is they put Cam Devaney in AAA. Not really. And then they called up, I think, Pagero, who's been awful at AAA for like 2 years. So someone's going to have to explain that to me. I don't understand it.
I got an idea. I came over came over from a different ball club. Every team wants to mold their pitchers to a certain area.
No, Devaney's a shortstop. That's what I'm saying. Why would Devaney's he's had a great season at all.
I was thinking somebody else. I'm sorry.
So they get what should be their starting shortstop, in my opinion. He's had a really good season in Omaha. He earned a call up at one point from the Royals. So if you're going to make that trade and you're 20 games back, why are you not just putting him at shortstop? Instead, they called up like Livier Pagero, who we already know is not a good MLB player, and they left Devaney at AAA. So I feel like they made their lineup worse in the short term because Frazier was probably more productive than the guy they called up. So anyway, neither here nor there, but I certainly agree with Andrew. Pirates offense is a mess, but the Tigers right now, Bryan, how much do you think it was like the Tigers went into the break and then they look at the AL Central standings and they see the double-digit lead? Do you think that has something to do with it where there's really no one on their heels right now?
Yeah, I think it does, and especially going into the All-Star break because they had a lot of All-Stars. We made fun of Javier Baez being a starting player in the All-Star game, but yeah, this is a team that doesn't get a lot of All-Stars normally. I mean, the Tigers, when's the last time they had more than 2 or 3 All-Stars? And also, with the Pittsburgh situation, they're not trying to win. I mean, they're going out, and if they got a chance to win, yes, but is management they know this guy's going to be better in the long run than a retread is basically what I thought the trade was. I thought when they made that trade, they're just getting rid of one of their guys that doesn't have a future in the team. And they've got to start looking at that. They got to start playing some young guys.
So Sean, I actually didn't realize he was here. He must have heard us. He must have like somehow heard Tigers get brought up. He's here, which I'm glad he's here. We love all you guys here every day. He says beware of the under. Detroit's going to pop eventually. I definitely agree with that. And that's kind of like, that's how I'm looking to play the Tigers. Like, I don't know how long this little sort of funk is going to continue, but when they show that when they break out of it a little bit, you can rest assured they're probably going to win a bunch of games, because I still go back to like looking at the American League. They're still like the best two. If you were to take the best 3 teams in the AL, I think the Tigers have to be, if you're talking about the full season to this point, judging them on the full body of work, they have to be one of the 3 best teams in the American League. And so I'm with Sean. I do think they're going to play like that again at some point. But right now, I need to see something first. I'm not going to bet on them until I see some signs of life. And we didn't see any signs of life yesterday. So go ahead, Bryan.
The problem with that is that's the due system.
Yeah.
And everybody has played the due system in their lives. Nobody's ever won playing the due system. The teams that Milwaukee has played the last 10 games, they're not that good. That's the due system. You can't do that. I understand what he's saying. Okay. Somebody sent me. But yeah, they're a very good team. They're slumping right now, and if I saw something showing that they're coming out of it, I would. Eventually, they're going to win more games than lose. But yeah, to pick your spot, it's a tough thing to do.
So our pal Dave Koken used to use the term buy sign with a team like with this. And I think that's very much, I still sort of reference that term a lot. That's where I got that from. And he'd say like, okay, like I'm looking for a buy sign to jump in with the Tigers. So that's kind of how I'm approaching the Tigers. I'm not going to bet them here, but if they show a sign of like, even if it's in a loss, like even if they go out and lose a game 7-6, but suddenly they think the bats wake up, I will definitely be looking at like trying to jump in with them. But yeah, I don't like the do theory either, because like, right, like it's going to happen at some point, but why here, right? What have they done over the last few days that makes you think it's going to be here? I think that's the point we're both trying to make. And so for that reason, I think I still have to like the under, because until I see the bats, I'm going to expect that they don't show up. And we know the Pirates can't hit. They've proven that over 100 games. So why not under with 2, pretty respectable pitchers on the mound? And Sean said Pirates under team total 4.5. Is that really what it is? Is that really what the Pirates team total is in this game? That's very high if that's the case.
No, because Detroit's favored in the game. The line's 8. So Detroit would be the team with the 4.5 if they did do that.
You could have, as Tokyo Brandon says, sometimes there's alts and they're juiced, but again, like it's probably going to stay under that. If you get a respectable line on that, I don't really disagree at all. But that's an interesting conversation. And, I feel like the Tigers convo always gives us a nice spike on the show. So, wanted to ride that one out as long as possible, hit the side in total, and we'll move on. So, let's go to a different, here we go. I've sort of like talked about all of the negatives for me yesterday, going 0-2 and getting some stuff wrong and leaving some stuff off. So now I'm gonna pat myself on the back for the White Sox. When they were 30-60, I was on this show, Bryan Leonard, and I said, do not be surprised if this team plays a lot closer to 500 ball from this point forward. Venable's doing some different things with how he's managing the team. They're playing all the young guys. They're getting everyone in. I think there's some really good chemistry and camaraderie with this team, and they have been very good. I don't have their win-loss record since then, but it's got to be close to 500, and they're playing very good ball. Big Schlip says, how about them White Sox? Let's go, fellas. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you commenting. Give us those likes and subscribes on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. because I don't know another show that was hyping up the White Sox like we were in this show the last couple months. And if you've been sort of betting on it, you without a doubt have made money. No question. There's no way if you've been sort of following along and betting the White Sox that you have not been profitable. There's just no way. So, Bryan Leonard, do they continue this run here in Tampa tonight?
White Sox have been impressing me on a 4-game win streak. Now their run differential on the season is down 73, as opposed to the Orioles down 104, the Athletics down 141, and everybody's favorite whipping boy, the Colorado Rockies, down 257. Chicago is not played exceptionally well on the road. They got a 15-36 record, but as you pointed out really early in the season, that plus 1.5 on Chicago on the road is a lot easier to hit than a team that's, only winning less than 30% of the road games. The line on this one here is Martin going for Chicago, Rasmussen going for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is about a 215, 220 favorite, 8.5 to the under or 8 towards the over a little bit. Rasmussen is a guy who just a week or so ago, they talked about, because of his injury history, that they were going to take him out of the starting rotation and let him pitch in the bullpen. Then a couple things happened, and they decided they will let him start, but they're going to put his limit in like 5 innings. So from a fantasy standpoint, you're not going to get as many wins with Rasmussen out there. But from a betting standpoint, you should be able to get 5 good innings out of him. And I think they may have some success in that. Now, from a 2-1 favorite, don't know. Martin's going for the White Sox here. Not one of the better pitchers, but they play with a lot of heart. Like I said, they won 4 straight games. They're in just about every game they play now. I prefer Rasmussen, obviously, as the starter, but I'm not going to lay that big number here with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, for me, it would be White Sox plus 1.5 or pass. I don't know if this is the best spot to do it. The one guy I'm just not as high on as some others from like a White Sox rotation standpoint is Davis Martin. I know he's been good. I mean, last few starts. Now he missed. I don't believe he's pitched at the big league level in a while, right? Since mid-June. So that's a little bit of a concern. I think that's where this handicap will die out for me is I like the White Sox. It would only be White Sox. I still see value in them because they're just an undervalued commodity, and they will be for the rest of the year. The problem is, do I want Davis Martin? Is Davis Martin the guy that I want on the road? And that's where I'm just like, maybe not. So I'm just going to keep it quick there because I'm not going to make a case for the Rays. I'm not going to lay a number to go against this White Sox team right now, but I just don't know if this is the exact setup where I want the White Sox. If I did, however, it would be White Sox 1.5. So, but again, will I be continuing to look for, ways to play the White Sox on a day-to-day basis? Absolutely. They're still way undervalued and they're playing great ball. Go ahead, Bryan.
Let me we haven't given out any plays yet. And
yeah, go ahead.
Brand is not here today. There'll only be a 2-team parlay. We're struggling with the 3s lately. So let's see if I can get something here. I'm going to go back to a couple teams I talked about earlier, Baltimore and Cleveland. I mentioned Baltimore. This is a team coming into the season, had really high expectations, as did Cleveland, by the way. The people on the inside did not think Cleveland was going to be as good. But from a fan standpoint, they don't pay as much attention. And they've been disappointed by the way Cleveland's played this year. I can understand that. But Young is going for Baltimore. Cantillo going for Cleveland. He's a lefty. Cantillo right now is about a 140 favorite, a total of 8. I want to fade Brandon Young, and many reasons to do that. He's 0-4 on the season, 7.52 ERA, 4.65 expected, much better on expected. But I've watched him pitch, and his control is not good. He's got a 1.78 whip. His barrel rate it's obviously he's only pitched 26 innings, so we're not getting a lot of really solid numbers here. But he's not a good fastball pitcher. He's in the 37th percentile of that, so he's not going to blow you away with that. He does average close to 1 strikeout per inning, but his walk rate, 9.1%. His strikeout minus walk rate, even though he's a pretty good strikeout pitcher, is 11.6, pretty low. League average is slightly less than 16. And they did use a good amount of bullpen pitching last night. Baltimore, let's check this bullpen for Baltimore here. Last night they used 3 of the guys on their lesser, Corbin Martin, Grant Wolfram, and Colin Selby. So they didn't have to use Bautista, Dominguez, Soto, or Kittredge, or Cano. The bullpen overall, Dominguez is actually pitching very well right now. He's the guy who comes in usually the 7th or 8th inning. He's been their best pitcher lately. But if you take a look at what the bullpen has done overall in the last 14 days, Greg Soto's the only one that's listed in the top 100 in Major League Baseball in relief pitching. So they have not been going very well. Cleveland at this point, if you watch that game, everything that happened with Cleveland, the team is still young enough where they're getting so excited about things happening. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And it was a close game for a while in that game. So you got a lot of that out there. And I think this is a really good homestand for Cleveland to turn it around. They played better coming out of the break. And Cantillo is a guy that I like when it comes to the Cleveland starters. So far on the season for Cantillo, he's got a 4.17 ERA, 3.95 expected, 1.44 whip. That's his weakness. He walks 11 a game this year. Last year, 11%. Last year, 9.2%. His strikeout minus walk is only 18.3, which is good. It's very good, but that walk rate is a concern. Hard hit rate, 5th percentile, chase rate 2nd. So he can be hit. Extensions in the 98th percentile. He's 6'4". I like the Cleveland team total in this game over Baltimore. Let's take a look at that one. Team total, Cleveland is 4.5 to the over, or to the under, of 135. So you can get Cleveland at plus money to score 5 runs against Baltimore. I think it happens here. This is a pretty good hitting ball club. Ballpark now, the way they configured it a little bit later, and right center field especially. With the right-hander going, they'll have a lot of lefties, and that fills right into the power alley in Cleveland. I'm going to play that over. Cleveland over team total of 4.5, and that should be about plus 105 or so.
And that's your parlay leg, right?
That's my parlay leg.
Perfect. So I'm very much in agreement. If you did not use that, I would have used Guardians money line as the parlay leg. So I'm going to pick a different leg in a second. But if you can't parlay the team total, I am pretty good with you just parlaying Guardians to win the game, because I do think if the Guardians get those 5 runs, I think there's probably a pretty good chance that they win. Reason I like the Guardians a lot to win this game, and this got kind of hit overnight. This was like minus 128, minus 130, and quickly jumped up to like minus 145. That's what I'll be looking for today, Brian, is hopefully we have some Orioles buyback, because if this kind of comes back into range for me, I'll probably be on the Guardians here. Now, I've been anti-Guardians, but one thing I know about this Orioles team, they don't hit as well on the road, and they don't hit left-handed pitching. And what do we have here? We have the Orioles on the road against Joey Cantillo, a lefty. Trevor brings up a great point in the chat. He said Young struggles to get left-handed batters out. That's correct. And he's right. The Guardians have quite a few left-handed hitters in the lineup. So that lends itself to, your handicap of Guardians runs. And I just don't think the Orioles are going to score at the rate the Guardians should score here off of Cantillo, who's a lefty and has also been pretty good. So I'm very much with you on that over. And I haven't bet it yet, and I'm probably just going to kind of keep an eye on it throughout the day. I don't know if I can get there with like a minus 145 or minus 140 price tag, because I still don't love this Guardians team. But from a matchup standpoint, the Guardians match up very well in this game with the Orioles today.
Yeah, that's why I decided to go with the team total, because you're saving about 40 cents in price. I am very price sensitive. I know Brandon has talked in the past that he is not. I'm very price sensitive. I think you really have to be if you plan on winning in the long run. If you miss a number, sometimes you have to pass, or you can play it live. But you don't want to. Let's say you're ranking Cleveland as a 150 favorite here, and you could have gotten them at 130, and now you got to pay 140, 145. That value cuts into your profit. And it's one thing I disagree with Brandon, but he's got the way he does things, and he's had great success doing it. I've had the same kind of success doing it my way, and I'm open to anybody that could change my mind, but still, to save 40 cents by looking for Cleveland to score 5 runs, I don't think Cleveland is going to win this game scoring 3 or less. So it's worth the 40 cents for me.
All right, I've got my parlay leg. It's a game that we already talked about, and I have to pull this comment up because this I still have nightmares about this game. Justin Coolin reminded us that Kolek started that game where we had the Marlins to close out like a nice 3-teamer. I think it was like a +6 or a 6 or 7 to 1 3-teamer. And Kolek gave up 6 runs in like the first inning of that game. And the Marlins failed to cover the 1.5. I believe they ended up losing 8-6 after having a 6-0 lead and absolutely destroying Steven Kolek. So I have to run it back with the Marlins here. Probably going to make my client card as well. I know. Listen, you could go first 5. I'm going to go full game because I do think if given the shot at the same relievers again today, that the Marlins might be able to like break through late as well. They just saw every good bullpen arm, every top bullpen arm the Padres have. And I do like if they were to come back with a Suarez gave up a couple of hard hit balls. Now he got out of the inning at the end. That's the other thing. The Marlins generated some chances yesterday. I think they grounded into like 4 double plays on balls that were hit pretty hard. So I'm going to give the Marlins the full 9 innings. And we're going to go Marlins money line for my parlay leg. So what do we have there? Like -115, -120, something like that?
Yeah, 120. You can get better. A few out there, I see a 116 at one place, but 120 would be about the number we're looking at. And before we end the show, I do have my 4% play up for $5 up on the site. We don't sell enough on the show. And
so definitely without TB here. TV does all the promotions. So
that's right. He's better at the promos than we are. And make sure to like and subscribe. We're getting less. I've noticed we're getting less people in the playback talking about and asking questions and that kind of thing. And that's something we really enjoy getting in there and talk to them about. So get in there if you ever have any questions about any games or just basic handicapping, or if you want to, like the other day, there was a guy that went in. I apologize for not remembering his name, but he gave his analysis on one of the games, and it was excellent analysis. And we can learn from you guys, because a lot of you guys, that's, a lot of you are in Detroit, or if you're in other places and that's your team, we've got to follow 30 teams. We're not as well known, up to date on some of these teams. So get in there and we'll have a nice discussion. We don't have a Discord at the moment for anybody to go into. So this is the best way to do it. And I myself like that, because I'm trying to learn from you as well as you're trying to learn from us. And that way we can all win. And that's our goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. We try to get in and answer all the comments, and we appreciate when you come by, drop a comment on the YouTube channel. It helps a ton, helps sort of bump us in the algorithm, and the more views we're getting, the more chance that we'll be able to do this show, not just this year, but next year and going forward. So yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in every day, and we'll end it there. So we've got a 2-team parlay today. Desperately need to hit one of these. We're still in the plus on the year though, but we're getting dangerously close to even. So we really need to hit one. We are going to go with Marlins on the money line, and then Guardians team total over 4.5. And that parlay comes out to +275. If your book does not allow you to parlay team totals, I think we're both okay with just Guardians money line in there for the parlay. So that'll do it. Probably it looks like a 2-man show again tomorrow. I am taking my 9-year-old nephew to Erie, Pennsylvania to see a bunch of good prospects in the Tigers organization. They're all there. Max Clark, McGonigal, the catcher, and then they're playing Somerset. So George Lombard from the Yankees organization, he just wants to go see a baseball game, but it was my idea to drive 3.5 hours to see that baseball game because I want to see like guys that are probably going to be in the big leagues in a year or so. So
you won't be here tomorrow.
I won't be here tomorrow, so it looks like it'll be.
Let's see what happens with Brandon. If I know ahead of time Brandon's not going to be here, I'll try to bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. Problem is they're going to have to know how to use the system because I don't have that ability.
Yeah, hopefully TB made it sound like he's probably fine. Like he's just, so we'll see. But yeah, we'll figure that out today. We will do our best to bring you a show tomorrow, as always, 9 a.m. If I have to throw the phone on the dashboard on the throughway, I'll do it. So
don't do that. We want you to be back the following day.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll figure something out. But expect us here at 9 a.m. tomorrow, as usual, as we are every day a week, Monday through Friday. Like and subscribe. $5 Tuesday. Go check out Wager Talk today on the Wager Talk YouTube channel at noon Eastern. Andy has put together a great show. And as you're getting closer to football season, that's going to be a must watch. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck tonight.